Before we get started here, I want to give a shout out to our boy Q here. He's definitely had a rough couple of days trying to play the waiver wire and fix his team. Q, I'll let you talk about some injuries that you've been facing yourself after a huge week 2 of injuries.
I think
You
between the Eagles loss and like the lost Saquon, lost Sutton, uh, I just haven't been able to take it in yet. Maybe I'm like not. I feel like I'm not in as bad of a place as maybe someone else might be. Because I had drafted some depth, but um, I'm hurting a little bit. I only got one game with Saquon, and he wasn't Saquon. In the second game, they just let him out to die. I had picked up a few guys off the waiver wire. We'll talk about that later, but um, I'm feeling better than someone should who lost their first overall pick and their third pick in the draft.
you have my
Yeah, and
sincerest
I
condolence.
don't need anyone's pity.
I think you do need some pity. You also haven't had Galladay play yet, so your
But he's
team has been struggling to say the least.
Usually
But
that I'm in that position, Q. So I feel for you.
well, we can switch after next week.
No thanks.
I'm wishing you some luck, I guess, here. Um, just to intro that here, we definitely have a lot of injuries to get into. So we'll get right into it here. Let's start with the number 1 overall pick, Christian McCaffrey. Hurt his ankle. He's now on IR for multiple weeks. How big of an impact is this to teams that picked up Christian McCaffrey?
Hold on, Dewey just donated $15. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Salute to the main man. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
He's trying
Definitely
to
appreciate it.
he wants to soften us up to give him an RB.
Well, he actually lost
Not
Christian
happening.
McCaffrey himself, so he's hurt, and he also lost Le'Veon
Yeah.
Bell. He's Devin Singletary RB1 this week. Shout out to Schultz. That sucks. Good luck.
I mean, anytime you lose your like the first overall pick in the draft, that's a huge blow to anybody's team, unless you had like the perfect draft.
Well,
Yeah.
You're losing the majority of your points right there off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into Mike Davis in a little bit as well. But if you lost McCaffrey, obviously, and you still haven't had waivers go through yet, pick up Mike Davis. But obviously, the second overall pick also got hurt here. Saquon Barkley, torn ACL. How do you guys feel about that backfield now?
it's if they're not going to block for Saquon, why do you expect any of these guys to do any good for the Giants? They did sign Freeman yesterday, so he is the guy to own. He's not the guy you want to start this week if you have to start any of them. But right now, it's just as much of a cloud as some of these other backfields.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
starting any of them for at least this week. Sorry, I have trash underneath me. But I'm not starting any of them for at least this first week. See how everything plays out, how the snap counts go, and see who's the most productive and who they like the most.
Yeah, and even signing Freeman, like it's going to take him at least a week to get up to speed with the offense and the playbook and to be able to get some carries. So that makes me a little bit nervous about starting him for the next week or so. Also, Devontae Adams, another first-round pick in most leagues, hurt his hamstring. They're looking at it to be not too serious, but if he misses time, who do you guys like more, MVS or Lazard?
I think MVS will be more
Yeah.
involved. I think Rodgers has a little bit more trust in MVS. I think he's been on the team longer. I'm not positive, but I feel like he definitely feels more comfortable throwing to him. He has more of a rapport with him. So if I got to choose one, I'm going MVS.
Yeah, I if I were to rank the two, I'd put MBS over Lazard. But both
Actually, go ahead.
That's all I have to say.
I was just gonna say I think I actually have
Fact-checking
Lazard
me.
ranked over MVS this week. So
Oh,
I like
that's-
Lazard just a little bit more. In general, I think Rodgers actually came out and said last year that he likes Lazard a lot. So that's why I still think Lazard is safer. I think MVS has more big play upside.
right. And it's always a good sign if the quarterback comes out and says that he likes a receiver.
But he's not gonna
Yeah,
say he doesn't
exactly.
like him.
Especially
Well, I
Aaron
mean, he
Rodgers.
could
Well,
just keep his mouth shut.
I hate Lazard.
Yeah, whatever. All right, on to the 49ers. First and foremost, they lost Raheem Mostert, who was looking like a possible top 10 running back this year. They lost him to an MCL injury. He's out multiple weeks. And Tevin Coleman, the backup running back, also hurt his knee. He's out multiple weeks as well. Do you guys like Jerick McKinnon as the go-to guy, or is Jeff Wilson going to have some involvement in this backfield too?
Jeff who?
That's Gators guy,
Jeff
Jeff
Wilson.
Wilson.
Jeff
But
Wilson had some touchdowns last year.
I think McKinnon's the must add. I think they'll both see their fair share of play, but don't be surprised. I wouldn't start McKinnon. He's coming off 2 years from no football. And he still has a knee issue, or he might still have a knee issue. So I would wait and play. And if he plays a full game, then I'd feel more comfortable starting him.
He's got a nose for the end zone right now. I mean, he did score a touchdown in both of the first 2 games. I'm not against starting McKinnon this week, but yes, the injury risk is definitely there. I don't think he's going to get that full 20 carries and 5 catches workload kind of thing. I think he's definitely going to split time with Jeff Wilson and whoever else they can put back there. On to the next big major injury, Courtland Sutton, torn ACL as well, kind of out of the blue. At first, they were still concerned about his shoulder, but then they also came out and said torn ACL the next couple of days. You didn't really hear about it or see it on that game. But how does this impact the Broncos team, as well as Drew Lock being out a couple weeks too? So
all I got to say is GG to Sutton. He looked like he was going to have a solid game. The app was incorrect. I think he had it said first catch for 50 yards, but then it went away. But I think everyone's stock goes up. Lock being out hurts. I'll talk about the player later on who I think you need to pick up on the Broncos because of another reason. So you'll hear later, but it definitely helps all the players. So evens out, I guess, because Sutton's out, so they get more targets, but Drew Lock's out, so comes down a little bit.
I think the player that benefits from this injury the most is Noah Fant. Oh, sorry, Fant.
Stop.
It's not Font. Sean got into my head. I don't know what I was thinking.
Noah 12-point Font.
I mean, last week after something went out, they were just feeding him, and he was eating all of it. So I think that he's going to be very productive. I think that Q is frozen. At least he is on my screen.
Oh, man.
That might just be my technical
No,
difficulty,
he's so
but,
frozen.
Rip Q
may have lost
season
Q.
and Rip Q. But yeah, Noah Fant, he definitely is the biggest beneficiary out of that injury of Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I'm sure Q will be back shortly. We'll see what ends up going on there. But I do agree with you. Noah Fant definitely gets an uptick in value. Even with Jeff Driscoll, backup quarterbacks tend to lean on their tight ends heavily. So I think Noah Fant is definitely going to be more involved already than he already was super involved. So top 10 tight end every week moving forward. We will get this fixed as soon as Q comes back.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Man.
Can Q make a comeback in both the stream and this season?
And once Q gets back, we'll figure it out. But moving on, George Kittle sprained ankle. If George Kittle misses time this week, which it's still a possibility, he was limited today. He's probably going to be limited all week until Friday. That'll be the real telltale sign. If he misses again, are you definitely starting Jordan Reed?
Not definitely. I mean, he's always iffy. There's always the risk of if you start Jordan Reed, he could get hurt mid-game. Or he could just put up a donut like Gronk did last week. But we'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into Gronk later for sure. The next injury we have here, Tyrod Taylor is out indefinitely with a punctured lung. Very weird story. He got that shot for his ribs. One of his ribs was cracked, and he got a shot for it before the game. But the doctor accidentally punctured his lung, so now he's out indefinitely. He's definitely out this week. So Herbert will be the starter. Do you think Herbert makes the Chargers better or worse?
Herbert makes the Chargers better. I mean, even Tyrod Taylor got one game. Herbert got one game. And they gave the Chiefs a run for their money. Come on.
Yeah.
Herbert is definitely the better.
Yeah.
Better option.
Agree.
Sorry.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. I don't know if he's the better option for them to win games, but I think he's the better option for fantasy 100%. Just even after one game, I know it was a favorable matchup with the Chiefs defense, but Justin Herbert helped Austin Eckler look better. He helped Keenan Allen look better. Hunter Henry was still involved. Justin Herbert liked to spread the ball around. He looked like he was poised in the pocket. Also 6'6". He was running through guys. It was pretty good game for a rookie debut, especially with such short notice. So
sure.
I'm definitely impressed by Justin Herbert. We'll talk about him in a little bit as well. But I think Tyrod Taylor, if he does come back, limits that Chargers offense a bit, their weapons.
And I hope they fired whoever was on that medical staff that almost tried to stab my man to death.
Yeah, 100%. that
That
he
was
has
crazy.
to go. He has to go. Like everyone saw Tyrod Taylor was out, and they were just so confused. Like, why
Right,
would
like,
you bench
why?
him 5 minutes before the game?
I thought it
Yeah.
was a bogus injury, but I hope
Yeah.
my man's is all good.
Yeah, for sure. Jimmy Garoppolo is out at least this week and most likely more. Do you think Nick Mullins helps, hurts, or really doesn't change the 49ers offense right now?
I think it's going to get a little bit worse, not much worse. I think, didn't he come in for him last year as well? And they weren't too bad. I mean,
Yeah.
George Kittle was still being productive. Whatever, Deebo Samuel was productive when he was there. Too bad they don't have him now. But, I mean, I think it's a slight tick down, but I don't think they're going to, like, miss much of a beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nick Mullins is a pretty solid backup quarterback. He's shown flashes that he has that it factor that a QB needs. He's definitely had some flashes, so I like him a lot. I'm not too worried about it. Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of fantasy irrelevant anyways, and pretty much every pass catcher on this offense is hurt. So the 49ers are kind of in a tough position. And even on defense, notable injuries there. They lost half their defensive line. Richard Sherman's still on IR. So definitely nervous about the 49ers defense too. So if you drafted them early, it's not looking too great right now.
Matt, you are Q for the time being. I'm just letting you know.
That's fine. I hope I look as handsome as him too.
You look better.
Oh, thank you. All right, Sean,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah, other notable names with some more serious injuries. Paris Campbell, he ended up going on IR, someone to pretty much drop in all leagues. I wouldn't hold on to him. Sterling Shepard, if you have an IR slot, put him in there, but I'm not scared to drop him if you really are desperate with all the injuries that have happened. He's on IR as well. And Jalen Reagor is out for 6 to 8 weeks with like a torn UCL in his thumb. Very weird injury. Never really heard of it before, but definitely drop him in most leagues if you're holding on to him as a flyer. And some guys to just monitor this week: Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, AJ Brown, DJ Chark, Brandon Cooks. So many injuries to keep going here. Jamison Crowder, Will Fuller, Kenny Galladay, Jerry Jeudy, Cam Akers, Zach Moss. All these guys.
Who's back.
All these guys are banged up. Just keep an eye on them in the practice reports. Friday will be the telltale sign. Welcome back, Hugh. What happened there? You had some technical difficulties?
You had to go throw up or something?
My Wi-Fi went on IR for a couple of days.
Just like the rest of your team. It's all right. We understand.
So many injuries that injured the podcast.
You're cursed.
Don't say that.
You're the Blitz.
Well, welcome back, Hugh. We'll keep it moving here. We're just about ready to get into the waiver wire here. So obviously some leagues have already had their waivers go through, but if not, these are the guys we definitely want to target. Matt, I'll let you start it off at quarterback.
At quarterback, unfortunately, I couldn't get my guy. Sean stole him right from underneath me, but it's Gardner Minshew. He's had 512 yards and 6 touchdowns in the first 2 games. He's had 3 touchdowns a game. And I think he could keep up that production because he likes to spread the ball around. He's gotten DJ Chark, Keelan Cole involved. Chris Herndon has been there. I mean, and the rest of the season, I took a look at it. He has maybe one of the easiest rest of seasons, like defensive matchup wise, of all quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I like him a lot. I think he has potential to finish this year top 15.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's definitely something I did not expect from Gardner Minshew.
Me either.
He was not on my radar. I thought the Jaguars were going to be awful, and I'll come out and say, hey, like, I was the one that said they're going to be the worst team in football this year, and they're already 1-1 and have been very competitive. So
They have.
Gardner Minshew's the real deal. He showed it last year, obviously with Minshew Mania and some flashes there. I picked him up, obviously. Matt mentioned that already. I'm happy to have him. But my quarterback target this week would definitely be Justin Herbert. I know I was just talking about him a little bit, but especially in a favorable matchup, I think Justin Herbert is going to be a solid player for the Chargers without Tyrod Taylor for the few weeks to come, as long as he's the starter. I think he gives an uptick in value to that whole offense, and I think he's definitely worth a flyer in most leagues if you're looking for a quarterback to start.
For sure.
Q, welcome back. Go ahead.
Herbert definitely showed that Tyrod's holding back this offense.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Let
That
Herbert-
offense looked.
Yeah, it
Go
looked a
ahead.
lot better with Herbert playing.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say hashtag let Herbert eat.
Yeah, let Herbert eat.
Eat some sherbert.
Yeah, even in week 1, like the Chargers played the Bengals and they only put up 16 points. So with Herbert, they were able to put up some better numbers against the Chiefs. And I think moving forward, he's the guy that they should start. But for now, he's fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
Q, who was your quarterback pickup this week that has to be picked up?
Eventually, when we get enough donations, we're gonna have to buy one of them soundboards so that we can get me saying on the button, "I'm in the pocket like Burrow." Because my waiver wire pickup is Joe Burrow. He's only owned in about 45% of leagues. He's coming off a 61 attempt, a game where he threw 61 times, but it's not repeatable. And against an Eagles defense that's supposed to be good, I don't see him being a guy that you're going to put in at the quarterback position. But he's a good bye week fill-in, and I think he's shown that he can flash in fantasy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Joe Burrow, obviously, he's throwing the ball a ton. The Bengals are not going to be very good this year. So I think Burrow's definitely a must own in pretty much all leagues, even as a backup or as a flyer. You got to pick him up. Just get him on your bench.
Yeah.
T-Gods, who is your waiver wire quarterback target for this week?
It is Jared Goff. Don't know where he is.
He plays quarterback.
He's,
now for the
he's on
Rams.
the Rams.
Okay, I know what. Okay, you know what? Listen. Q, I blame you for all this because
I know.
now I lost
You
everything.
caused a big dumpster fire.
He
Like
did.
his team.
He is
Sorry.
playing at
Sorry.
Buffalo this week,
I'm
so it's
throwing
not the
shots.
most favorable matchup. But Jared Goff has shown some flashes for sure.
Yeah, not this week,
especially
but
last week.
I mean, you got Woods, Cooper Kupp, Higbee. You got a couple running backs that can catch. I mean, Sean McVay's creative. I don't know. I just like the Rams. I like the offense. Goff is definitely talented. I like him. I think he's at least worth a bench spot if you need one.
Yeah. Rams offense is a recipe for success.
100%. One other quarterback, obviously, to keep your eye on. We talked about him last week, Mitch Trubisky. He's playing at Atlanta this week. Atlanta's defense has looked putrid. They give up like 40 points a game.
They also score 40 points. So it's
Yeah,
like, who
exactly.
cares?
It's usually shootouts. I think the Bears defense might bring that down a little bit. But I think Mitch Trubisky is someone you definitely want to be starting this week against Atlanta, if any week. He's worth a flyer. On to running backs. Q, I'll let you start off again. One of your replacements for Saquon Barkley.
I wouldn't say my replacement for Saquon because I'm not starting him, but right now at least. But Deion Lewis, he has the most. I wouldn't say the most experience in the Giants offense, but he's the most experienced running back outside of maybe Devontae Freeman. He's proven that he can be a top 10 receiving running back, though he was with the Patriots when he did that. But I think he has more skill than Gallman, and until we see what Freeman's capable of, I think that if you have to put in Deion Lewis, he's not on the Titans anymore. He can be a solid Saquon fix, like a Band-Aid for now. He will peel off eventually.
Yeah, especially for this week, I think he's going to be the guy to start in that Giants backfield, if any. Like if you're in that super desperate position, Deion Lewis is someone you should definitely throw out there. They're going to be down in the game most likely, and for PPR formats, I think Danny Dimes is going to be dumping it off to him at least a handful of times. So
he's definitely Danny Nichols
worth a flyer.
now.
Q, I love that analogy because I never heard someone refer to someone as a Band-Aid and they're going to peel off eventually.
Once Devontae Freeman is familiar,
I give you props for that.
Offense, he'll be peeled off.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Matt, who is your running back that you're picking up?
And that's all the more reason for me to argue with you right now because I'm picking up Devontae Freeman. That is going to be his backfield as early as the next 3 weeks. I mean, I feel like he's going to go into New York with a chip on his shoulder. He hears all the noise. Everybody's always like he's injury prone, da-da-da-da-da. But I think he comes in and I think he doesn't play like terrific, but he definitely gets the touches. He's going to get the yards, fall into the end zone a couple times. So he'll be a good flex option at best if he eventually takes over that job, but we will wait and see.
He has a whole bag of chips on his shoulder right now.
Yeah.
Bag of chips are just full of air, Q.
It's not made by Lay's.
All right, Tigat, who is the running back you are looking to pick up this week?
I am definitely looking to pick up my man's Jarek McKinnon. He's owned in 26% of leagues, so most likely you'll be able to get him. It's just him and Jeff Wilson right now because of the injuries. He can run well. He can catch the ball. Like Sean said, he finds the end zone. He's got 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. He has 13 points in both games. So I mean, he's solid for right now. He's got a great matchup against the Giants this week. As long as he can stay healthy, I like him.
Yeah.
Pick him up.
Definitely a good first game for him as a starter against the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah. I still like Jarek McKinnon a lot too. I mean, obviously in the past as a backup on the Vikings, when he got his time to shine, he put up some big numbers. So
Definitely
got 2
did.
touchdowns already this season. Jarek McKinnon is someone that should be owned in pretty much all leagues for this time being. My guy to pick up this week has to be Darrell Henderson Jr. Last week I mentioned that after a struggling week 1 that I wouldn't give up on him just yet, and he showed why. He was definitely way more efficient than Malcolm Brown against the Eagles last week. I think Malcolm Brown had like 40 some yards total, and Darrell Henderson Jr. had 121 from scrimmage. He broke off some big plays. He looked explosive. I think him and Cam Akers are going to be the guys moving forward in that backfield, and I think Malcolm Brown will end up playing third fiddle. After week 1, we saw Malcolm Brown be that number 1 guy, but I just feel like that was just because he had the most experience. And as these younger guys show what they can do, I think he's going to lose some of that in that backfield. And just some other running backs to target at this point. Mike Davis, obvious one to pick up with Christian McCaffrey out. He's going to be the best one this week, probably because he's probably going to get 20 touches at least. So I think he's someone that needs to be picked up. James Robinson also still isn't owned in 100% of leagues. Definitely pick him up if he's still out there somehow sitting on your waiver wire. He's got a great matchup for tomorrow's game. You got to start him. And finally, Wayne Gallman, if you're super desperate, you missed out on Deion Lewis, you missed out on Freeman, you missed out on Mike Davis, throw a dart at Wayne Gallman. He still might be involved for the Giants this week. He could end up falling into the end zone. You never know.
That's like throwing a dart with no arms, blindfolded.
Okay.
What are you throwing it with?
Toes.
Yeah, it's definitely a long shot, but I wouldn't be shocked if he was still involved. I don't think he's necessarily not going to be involved moving forward. All right, on to the wide receiver position. Before we jump into our guys here, just wanted to mention Deontay Johnson needs to be owned in 100% of leagues. I'll talk about him more later. He's not owned in 100% of leagues, which is shocking. You got to pick him up.
Sorry for disrespecting you, T-Gods.
Okay. It's okay.
Q, I'll let you start us off here with your wide receiver.
All right, so as I said earlier, there's some pass catchers that are going to benefit off of the loss of Sutton. So I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy. He's owned in 74% of leagues, which is understandable because he's still a rookie. I personally would have still been. I don't know if I would have picked up any of them yet or started them at least confidently, but with Sutton out, he could be a flex play depending on matchups. The Broncos also did just sign Blake Bortles, so I think if Blake Bortles gets to be under center, the offense is going to take a big uptick in positive share, and Bortles is the NFL is better with Bortles in it.
I guess so.
You're so wrong. I don't think I've ever disagreed with you more.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Bortles guy either. He has shown that he can make guys fantasy relevant, though, with Allen Robinson a few years back. But who knows if he still got it.
We'll see.
Matt, on to you here. Who is the wide receiver you're looking to pick up?
My wide receiver, like I said, Minshew likes to spread the ball around a lot. And one of the names I mentioned was Keelan Cole. Through the first 2 games, he's had a touchdown in each of those games with at least 5 catches. So he's definitely getting the looks. He's producing off of those looks. He's definitely taking advantage of them. And I firmly believe DJ Chark is going to remain the number 1 on that team for the rest of the season. But Keelan Cole won't be a bad flex option for most teams, especially after some of the injuries that occurred this past week. I would definitely put him in your lineup, and I would start him pretty confidently this week, actually.
Yeah, I would agree. I like Keelan Cole moving forward. I like just that Jaguars offense. They have such an easy schedule. So
yeah, they've clicked a lot better than I thought they would have.
Yeah, shockingly, I like that offense. It's weird. Did not expect that coming to the
very
season.
weird. you get rid of Fournette and you're better. How?
Yeah. All right, T-Gods, what wide receiver are you picking up?
Russell Gage. And here's why. Through the first
Here's
two
why.
games, he has 21 targets. I don't know if you guys knew that. That's a lot of targets.
That's
Remember,
a lot of targets.
It's a lot of targets. And Julio isn't completely healthy, so I mean, he's going to get some more work, hopefully. And even if Julio and Ridley are on the field, defenses are going to be so focused on them. Russell Gage is going to be open. And he's good. He's a really good receiver. I don't know. I think if he's on your waivers, you should go pick him up right now.
For sure,
Yeah.
needs to be owned in most leagues, if not all.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I love Russell Gage. And even with the Falcons, we've seen them produce at least 3 fantasy relevant pass catchers just like last year, they had Austin Hooper involved. So I think Russell Gage and Hayden Hurst are both going to be involved moving forward. This offense is going to be playing catch up a lot. So they're going to be throwing a lot.
Yeah.
My guy to pick up this week, Corey Davis. He's only owned in 41% of leagues as of right now, and I think he needs to be owned in at least 50. He's had a huge week 1, even with AJ Brown on the field, 8 targets, 7 catches for 101 yards. And last week he was able to find the end zone against the Jaguars for 3 catches and 36 yards. Corey Davis is going to be involved moving forward, and AJ Brown still isn't practicing this week. And in a favorable matchup this week at Minnesota, I think he's definitely a viable flex option. He's someone that I would consider starting for sure.
I actually was
So I
going to
think Corey
say
Davis needs to be picked up.
Corey Davis belongs back on the waivers after last week.
Wow!
I guess
After
I
a
was ex-
touchdown,
He had a solid week. I don't know what you're talking about.
I
Pete.
don't
What
know.
games were you watching?
Just the
Yeah,
Eagles.
I
He
mean,
was, he was
he
watching
wasn't-
all of his players get hurt.
yeah,
watching
he was
the
crying.
hospital.
He was crying all Sunday.
watching a trip to the hospital.
His vision was blurry from the tears.
Oh man.
Yeah. I still think Corey Davis is going to be a piece that's going to be involved in this offense moving forward. I think he's definitely worth a pickup. And lastly, to wrap up the wide receivers, here's a deep league guy for you, Chase Claypool. He had a huge play with Big Ben this week at Denver. I think it was like an 80 or 90-yard touchdown, the longest play from scrimmage this season. Chase Claypool gives me Martavis Bryant vibes from a few years ago when he would just catch one big long throw from Big Ben. Big Ben loves to air it out. I think he's going to take a couple shots to Claypool moving forward. So if you're looking for a boomer bust flex to keep on your bench, he's definitely someone to think about.
I forgot about Martavis Bryant. He was like the NFL's famous Dex.
Yeah, exactly.
Next time.
All right, let's wrap it up here with the tight ends for the waiver talk here. Q, start us off with your guy that's already on your team.
I feel like I mentioned it. That sounded so like already on your team. Well, I mentioned him. I mention him every week. Mike Gesicki. Last week he finally had the type of week that you may have expected if you were drafting him. 8 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. He has another nice matchup tomorrow night against Jacksonville. They rank 30th against tight ends, I believe. He did prove last year for the second half of the season that he could be a possible top 10 tight end. So I think he's definitely someone that should be owned in a lot more league, more than 64%.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Mike Gesicki should definitely be owned in pretty much all leagues, especially after last week. He went off. So I think he's going to be involved
he
moving
did.
forward.
And he was on my bench for Jimmy Graham.
What a shame.
Bad decision by you, Q. All right, Matt, who is your tight end that you're looking to pick up in this week?
I think first and foremost, Cass deserves a public apology because I was the only one to tell him to start Gronk over Jonnu Smith last week. And as we all probably know, Gronk put up a big goose egg. So, Cass, I'm sorry.
Your
But-
podcast credibility is getting to him.
I can't always be right, all right? But yeah, definitely add Jonnu Smith. I'm starting him. I mean, AJ Brown was hurt. I don't know if his injury is still lurking, but
He didn't practice today, so.
yes, see, exactly. And Jonnu Smith already has 3 touchdowns this year. That ties his most for his career in the first 2 games of the season. I think that's a good sign. I think they're trying to get him heavily involved. And yeah, I think he's going to be solid. I think he finishes top 10 this year.
And
Yeah,
Ryan
obviously.
Tannehill is the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Tannehill.
He's
is
nice.
He was
Yeah,
the answer for that Titans offense. Marcus Mariota was not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, this-
definitely agree.
This offense is like the opposite of what I thought it was going to be coming into the year. I thought it would be just Derrick Henry, but Tannehill's shown he deserved that money.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll talk about Derrick
And-
Henry in a little bit for sure.
And especially since Derrick Henry isn't a receiving threat, I think that boosts Jonnu Smith's value that much more.
He's husky.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith is someone I was targeting preseason. He was one of my tight end sleepers, and it's turned out pretty well at this point. So you guys, who is your tight end that you're picking up this week?
My tight end to pick up is my man's Joey Schultz's dad, Dalton Schultz. He's available in 98% of leagues. And this week he had 10 targets for 9 receptions and 88 yards and a touchdown. And this week it was a shootout game, so I don't expect this to happen like every week. But
well, I mean, this week it could be a shootout.
Yeah, I
against
could
the
see it
Seahawks
again.
I said every week, not this week. But
Hey,
it definitely
I'm-
it could
I'm-
happen this week. It definitely could
We're
happen
trying
this
to
week
help
again.
teams win week in and week out, baby. Come on.
And Dak, he likes tight ends. Last year, old ass Jason Witten finished tight end 11.
Bart's favorite
same.
player ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
I'm with you. I like Dalton
Ever.
Schultz.
And
I
Brent
think
Selleck.
there's a lot of mouths to feed, but I think he's got some upside. He definitely could be a bye week fill-in kind of guy
Yeah,
moving forward.
he's worth a bench spot.
Yeah, he's worth an ad, speculative ad, especially if an injury happens. He'll be more involved for sure. As we've seen, injuries are going crazy. All right, my guy, tight end to pick up, who I got laughed at for mentioning in the preseason, is Mo Alley Cox. Mo Alley Cox, I mentioned him when Jack Doyle was out in preseason. I said he's worth a look if you're looking for a deep league tight end. And you all said, who? And Mo Alley Cox asserted this past weekend that he should be known. 5 catches for 111 yards on 6 targets for the Colts for 16 PPR fantasy points without even catching a tight end. Mo Alley Cox is probably going to be involved moving forward as long as Jack Doyle's out. So I think he's obviously a red zone target. He's like 6'8". He's huge. And he's obviously showed that he can carry the load for the Colts, and Philip Rivers loves to throw to tight ends in the red zone. So I think he's worth an ad in most leagues.
Sean, I don't think tight ends catch other tight ends, but they might catch touchdowns.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Touchdowns.
Prison.
Another couple tight ends to add just to finish up the waivers here. Jordan Akins, he's had double-digit points in back-to-back weeks. He's looking like one of Deshaun Watson's go-to guys this early in the season. Jordan Reed, if George Kittle's out, is definitely worth a start. And Tyler Eifert. Do you guys think Tyler Eifert's worth a pickup after 3 catches for 36 and a touchdown last week?
No.
Once he becomes fantasy relevant, he gets hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not touching him, but if you're desperate, think about picking him up. All right, let's get into today's sponsor is the Thrive Fantasy app for iOS and Android. I know we've been talking them up for a couple weeks at this point, but I wanted to let you know that they have raised the stakes. It is a prop and daily fantasy sports app, and if you download today using our promo code SUPERFB, SUPERFB, and you deposit $20 or more, you will receive an instant $50 bonus. So just depositing
Those
Just
are some
depositing
big stakes.
$20, you're
That's
getting
a
a
free
$50
50.
bonus. So that's
Free
70
50.
bucks right
Come on.
there, and you're only paying 20, and you can try and win up to $30,000 in prizes this week. Definitely an app that you need to get on your phone. Use the code SUPERFB, the Thrive Fantasy app. Download it today.
I mean, shit, I might even make use of that free $50 this weekend and try to make me some money.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself.
All right.
Yeah.
Calm
Thank you.
or chaos? So this week we had a lot. This week we had a lot of guys that struggled a little bit and some big names here. So let's start at the quarterback position with Carson Wentz. Are you guys staying calm on Carson Wentz, or is this chaos after 242 yards, 2 interceptions, no passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown this past week?
Chaos.
I want to say stay calm because he doesn't have the weapons that he should, because the Eagles just can't seem to get away from the injury bug. It's like Corona in 2020. It's just everywhere. Everywhere in our locker room, it's just floating around. But I think for at least 2 more weeks, you got to stay calm on him. I mean, we've seen him make do with a little bit worse. I mean, he was basically out there with a practice squad. But I think he's going to be out there with a practice squad again, unfortunately. So,
Alshon, we need you.
You did lose
yeah,
Rager, too.
Alshon, get him on the horn, inject him with whatever you need to, get him out on the field.
If you're staying calm, are you still starting him?
No.
I'm staying calm, but I'm not starting him this week because I was able to get my hands on Gardner Minshew versus Miami. So
Okay.
I still have Wentz ranked relatively high this week. I have him at QB 13. So I'm definitely nervous, but in a favorable matchup against the Bengals, if he struggles again this week, I think it becomes chaos. That's
Yeah.
where I'm starting to really panic on Carson Wentz and looking for another option.
I think if the Eagles don't win this game, I'm just chaotic on all
Right.
like
As
the
a
whole
fan, you're
team.
chaos.
Yeah, Miles Sanders and Ertz, and then cut it, I guess.
Philadelphia is going to be one big riot.
Yeah,
We're used to it.
definitely. On to another quarterback that struggled last week, Tom Brady. In a very favorable matchup, Tom Brady was able to get only 217 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 1 fumble lost. Tom Brady has 3 interceptions through 2 weeks, which is very unlike Tom Brady. Are you staying calm or is this chaos?
I'm definitely staying calm.
Staying calm. He's in a whole new offense. It's a brand new team. But I'm going to get into that later.
I think it's hard to count him out. So like it's a little chaos, but I mean it's Brady. He's had these slow starts before, and it's just hard to count him out because of the weapons that he has. He does have a tough matchup this week, so we'll see what he can do against a Broncos team. He has some familiarity with the Broncos. But yeah, I guess for the most part you're staying calm here.
Yeah, I'm definitely staying calm on Tom Brady. The weapons around him are too good. He'll get Godwin back this week. I'm staying calm. He's going to be Tom Brady. He's going to put up at least probably 2-3 passing touchdowns a game moving forward. We'll have a couple duds, but I don't foresee it being a trend. All right, let's move into some running backs. Let's start with one that I'm probably staying calm on, but I think it's worth mentioning. Derrick Henry had 25 carries for only 84 yards. He has 3.57 yards per carry through 2 games. Are you guys staying calm, or is this chaos on Derrick Henry?
Staying calm.
So calm. I'm staying calm.
Are you going to cause chaos against the reigning rushing champ 2 games into the season?
I mean,
you sound like his owner right now.
Maybe the maybe the offense is changing somewhat. We were expecting it to be all Derrick Henry, but now they have a valid quarterback. But yeah, after 2 weeks and it's Derrick Henry, it's hard to, just like Tom Brady, it's hard to be chaotic about the rushing champ.
But I think throughout the season that passing threat only helps them because defenses won't be able to stack the box.
That's true.
And they're kind of going to forget about who the reigning rushing champ is, and he's just going to explode for his 200 yards, 4 games.
He's going to run you over, then you'll remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm also definitely staying calm. He did have 0 catches on Sunday too, so he hasn't gotten involved into the passing game as I would have liked him to. But I still think moving forward, he's going to increase that yards per carry. Derrick Henry does best once you get halfway through the season. Defenses are a little bit more tired, more injuries start happening, and Derrick Henry's coming at you like a freight train. You're not going to be happy to tackle him. So
that's definitely one guy I don't want to have to tackle for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I'm definitely staying calm.
He might knock you out after the first one.
Knock some sense into me.
On to the next one here, Todd Gurley. He had 21 carries for 61 yards and no catches in that huge Cowboys-Falcons game. So 6 fantasy points. Are you guys staying calm or chaos on Todd Gurley?
I mean,
chaos.
Yeah, it's getting a little chaotic.
A little bit.
And the Falcons were up most of that game, so they should have just been running him. But they always seem to find a way to blow the biggest lead of all time. And they found a way to do it last week because they don't know how to play football and recover an onside kick.
The Falcons scored 39 points, and Todd Gurley only had 6. Come on, man.
Yo, thank you. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You saw the Rams the previous week. They were running all over the Cowboys.
All over them.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely going chaos here as well. I am nervous about Todd Gurley. He's still going to be a solid RB2 probably, but not being involved in the passing game scares me. And 3 yards per carry against the Cowboys is also pretty bad. I think he ends up being more of a touchdown-dependent RB2 moving forward if he's not going to be involved in the passing game.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, another running back here, Ronald Jones. After a huge week 1, 17 carries for 66 yards. He had 7 carries for 23 yards, able to get in the end zone early, and 2 catches for 4 yards. Is this chaos on Ronald Jones, or are you staying calm?
This is chaos.
I'm
Fournette is
chaos.
taking
I'm a little
over.
on the fence, but I'm leaning on the chaos side. I'm ready to fall over because
Fournette's time has come.
Fournette must have looked great in practice that week because Ronald Jones' touches went from here to
Nah, so what actually happened was Ronald Jones fumbled the football, and Bruce Arians does not like when you fumble the football. And
I don't think
as soon
any
as he-
head coach
Right.
does.
I know, but especially Arians, I don't think he saw the field after he fumbled the football, and Leonard Fournette was pretty much the go-to guy, and Shady also got involved later too. So I don't know if they give him another chance this week to get more involved again. I think there's a chance that if he shows in practice that he's going to be able to hold on to the ball, that he may be able to get this backfield back under control. But Leonard Fournette looks really good. As much as I was hating on him earlier this season, I do think he looked good. I do think it could
I
be
said it
his
last
backfield moving
week.
forward.
You told me I was
did look
crazy.
good. I think
If Ronald Jones didn't fumble, I'm not sure if he gets that involved. But Bruce Arians is more traditional. He benched him, so that's what happened.
What quarter did he fumble in?
I think it was like the first or the second quarter. It was pretty early.
Oh,
He fumbled
yeah.
the ball.
I am on the Fournette train, happy that he's back, but I do think his leash is short just because Ronald Jones is the guy who was supposed to be the guy in the backfield. So, I mean, if Fournette was to make the same mistake, I'm sure that the same thing would happen to him.
Yeah. So I'm definitely curious to see how that works out this week for sure. But definitely chaos on Ronald Jones. I would not start him this week. On to the next one here, David Johnson. This guy had 11 carries again, so only 22 carries on the season for 34 yards, 2 catches for 16 yards. Did not get that many fantasy points last week. Are you staying calm or is this chaos?
I'm staying calm.
I'm staying calm for now,
–
but if they don't start using him in the passing game in the next couple weeks, it's going to get a little crazy.
Right.
which is
I
something
mean,
he's good at.
You can't go from after week 1 saying like, "Oh, David Johnson's back," and then he has a bad week 2 to count him out. I don't
Against
think that's fair.
against the Ravens.
And
Yeah,
he got a tough
I don't
matchup
think
this
that's
week too
fair.
against the Steelers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you give him a few weeks to get like incorporated into that offense to really know it, and Deshaun Watson to trust him, even though I think he already does. But like you guys said, the matchups aren't favorable, but I think he definitely picks it up.
Yeah, I think the Texans have kind of got screwed with this early season schedule, playing the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Steelers back to back to back.
That's tough.
It's definitely it's definitely tough sledding. I think I'm staying calm on David Johnson too. I think he's going to be more involved moving forward. I think the Texans are going to win some games moving forward, where he'll be able to run out the clock, get more involved in the offense. But the passing usage does concern me just a little bit. Deshaun Watson is one that also likes to opt to run when chaos hits his face. He's not one to dump it off as much. So I think that might impact him just a little bit, but I still think they're going to try and find ways to get the ball in his hands.
No D-Hop's hurting.
Yeah,
Big
no
time.
D-Hop is hurting. We'll get into another Texan here shortly as well. But onto wide receivers, Julio Jones, very poor game, not what you expected. 4 fantasy points on 4 targets, only 2 catches. Are you guys staying calm or is this chaos on Julio Jones?
I'm staying calm.
Calm,
bro. Looking at Ridley's performance, you may want to be chaotic just because when you draft Julio, you know he's like a top 3 wide receiver in the league. But I mean, he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league, so he's going to eventually produce. Ridley could still be doing his thing, but I mean, I don't know how much better you can get than Julio.
Yeah.
Only D-Hop.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Julio Jones is definitely someone I'm staying calm on too. Julio Jones had a huge week 1. I think he'll find the end zone, obviously, moving forward. He's not going to have 10 touchdowns this year, but I think he'll still get 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 at most.
Yeah.
So I think Julio Jones is going to be fine going forward as long as he's healthy. I want to see if he practices on Friday. Definitely something to monitor with this injury. They did say it ended up re-aggravating it during the game. So keep an eye on him, but definitely stay calm if you have him. Don't panic. Don't trade him away for nothing. All right, on to the next wide receiver here. Devontae Adams, 3 catches for 36 yards on 3 targets. He did leave this game with an injury, but not until the second half. Are you guys staying calm or is this chaos on Devontae Adams?
Staying calm.
That's Aaron Rodgers' scapegoat. That's his guy.
You saw what he could do when he was healthy.
Yeah, right.
He'll be 100% or at least close to it for Sunday night, which could help. But as he's a full go, you're expecting the normal production from him.
Yeah. You took him in the first round in most drafts for a reason.
Yeah. I'm definitely just a little bit nervous about Devontae Adams' health. We've seen him get injured quite a few times in his career at this point, and with a hamstring injury, those things do tend to pop up. But if Devontae Adams is healthy, I'm 100% staying calm. After week 1, we saw him, considered him being the number 1 wide receiver in the league. So obviously he's got it. I'm not too worried. On to the next one here. Adam Thielen, a down game this week in a matchup that you thought would be not too hard for him. 3 catches for 31 yards. Is this calm or chaos on Thielen? Q, I guess we'll let you start it off because
No. I'm holding back. I know he's good. I think this is more of a Kirk issue, so I would stay calm.
Huge Kirk issue.
Unless Kirk can't turn it around, then it could be chaos, just because obviously that's what's going to impact Thielen. But for now, I'm staying calm.
Does anybody know how many points Kirk had this week?
Not a lot. They did. I don't think he threw a touchdown.
10.
So, yeah, less than 10.
He had -2. He had 113
That's
passing
so
yards and 3 picks.
Oh my God, Kirk needs to turn it around, because when Kirk plays well, that Vikings offense just flows.
They are playing a solid Titans defense this week, but
Right.
hopefully it's a little different than -2.
Well, we
What
saw Minshew
concerns?
put some numbers up on that Titans defense too, so I'm not too
That's
concerned
true.
about it.
That's
but
true.
Kirk Cousins scares me. Go ahead, Matt.
What concerns me a little bit is I think Adam Thielen's points all came in the first, if not a little bit of the second quarter, and the Vikings were down most of that game.
Right.
So that's a little nerve-wracking to me as a Thielen owner. But I mean, you drafted him second, third round. You're throwing him out there every week. You got to trust him. He definitely proved that he could be the number 1 guy, and I think he lives up to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely staying calm on him too. He had 8 targets, so it's not for a lack of trying if Kirk's trying to get him the ball. So I think if Kirk's able to right the ship this week, Adam Thielen will be just fine.
Yeah.
Another wide receiver with a pretty inconsistent quarterback, to say the least, Allen Robinson. He had 3 catches for 33 yards. Are you guys staying calm, or is this chaos on A-Rob?
Staying calm.
Yeah,
like you said earlier, he did it with fucking Blake Bortles. Why can't he do it with Mitch Trubisky?
And like Sean said,
Yep.
The quarterback play is definitely going to have a role. I'm staying calm, but I will say I was wrong about Minshew being the one to fall off and Mitch to being the one to continue. Mitch got my neck big. He's back to old bad Mitch, I think. But it doesn't matter. Hopefully Foles comes in. That'll definitely help A-Rob if that happens. But
This man loves
you're
Foles.
calm.
Yeah.
I'm staying calm on A-Rob too. He had 9 targets. As much as Mitch isn't be able to throw the ball through his hands, I think he's going to, by default, have to catch at least more than 3 catches.
Yeah.
He had 3 catches for 33 yards. I think Allen Robinson, he's had 9 targets in both games, so he's going to continue to be involved in this offense.
For sure.
Another wide receiver that I particularly like, Jarvis Landry, had 3 catches for 46 yards on 3 targets last week. Is this calm or chaos on Jarvis Landry?
This is a little chaotic to me.
It's a little chaotic.
I think you're
because
still
that
staying
run
calm.
game was looking mighty good last week, and I think if they roll with that, they have the chance to win some games because they have 2 of the best running backs in the NFL on one team.
I'm definitely staying calm on Jarvis Landry. Bias intended as well. He did only have 3 targets, but I don't think the Browns are going to be winning in most games. I do think their running backs are good, but even with those good running backs, their defense is pretty bad. They gave up 30 points to the Bengals. So I think they're going to be down more games than not. I don't think OBJ is going to be the go-to guy every single week moving forward. I think Jarvis Landry still has that connection. I think on a short week, it was hard for him to deal with that hip injury. I think now with 10 days rest after playing on Thursday Night Football, I think he'll be fine moving forward.
You better
I
hope
think
so.
they just need Myles Garrett to hit every quarterback they play in the head with a helmet.
Jarvis looking like that stuff on OBJ's chest.
Oh,
That's
man.
that's how he played on Thursday. But I'm still staying calm on him.
Oh, that's
Just
funny.
against a bad Bengals D, you expect more from Jar. I guess
If you don't get it, Q is referring to him looking like shit.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I think he'll be fine moving forward. He's still going to be involved in this offense, especially I think they're going to be down more often than not. So on to the next one here. T.Y. Hilton, 3 catches for 28 yards. Calm or chaos?
Chaos. It's
This is
chaos.
calm.
No, this
Such
isn't Ty.
chaos.
Ty is better than a 3-catch, 28-yard receiver. That's not him.
But I mean, like
Some-
he's had those games
Yeah,
in the
he
past.
has. Yeah.
He
But
definitely has.
he also has had a lot better quarterback, and Phil is just like that whole offense is just going way downhill with him at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
think-
good.
I think with the loss of Paris Campbell, Ty should be looked at a lot more. He should. I mean, it's bad that he was like non-existent for most of that game. You expected him to get more, but they were winning, and they did only throw 25 times in the second half. So they were just playing with the clock at that point. But with Paris Campbell down, and Jack Doyle still possibly injured, Ty definitely stay calm if you're a Ty owner.
Yeah, I'm a little bit chaos on this just because for the lack of involvement. But I think I'm staying calm for the most part, just because I think the Colts are going to be down more often than not, just like the Browns are. So I think Philip Rivers is going to have to throw a ton. I think Ty has to eventually get involved. I don't think Mo Alley Cox is going to lead this team in receiving yards every week as much as I think he's worth an ad. So I think T.Y. Hilton's going to have to come out of nowhere and basically show that he's still T.Y. Hilton, still got some left in the tank there. But without Paris Campbell, like I think Michael Pittman, he's got to show that he can prove it, and Zach Pascal has to be involved, or T.Y. Hilton has to be the only guy. Like that's the only way T.Y. ends up fading into irrelevancy. I think he's still going to get targets week in and week out.
Right.
On to the next one here. Another big name wide receiver that's older, AJ Green, 3 catches for 29 yards against the Browns last Thursday. Is this calm or chaos on him?
I'm
What's his own
so
thing?
calm. I'm so calm on AJ. He had 13 targets from a rookie quarterback. They got to get that chemistry down. It'll be fine.
He did also, like you said, he threw 61 times last week.
He did.
So
Look at
I
Boyd.
mean,
Boyd had 20 points. Boyd had a touchdown.
yeah.
I'd be a
Yeah.
little chaotic. He did look good after week 1. He could have had the game-winning touchdown, which would have helped his points or like what he did that week a lot. But then the next week, you see Boyd going off. But maybe with Uzamo being out, a solid tight end for the rookie quarterback, you could see more for AJ Green.
And also, AJ had a pass right in his breadbasket and dropped it last week.
That's a bad sign.
It is a bad sign, but they're gonna get it. I'm telling you, they're gonna get it. I'm staying
Can't
calm on
be a
AJ.
receiver dropping
Yeah.
passes. Come on, baby. That's what
I'm
they
staying-
paid for.
But he missed
staying
all
calm
last
on-
year. Leave him alone.
I'm staying calm on AJ too. I think he'll figure it out. I'm a little bit nervous, but the amount of volume he's getting, Joe Burrow is really trying to get him the ball. I think they'll figure it out together. They'll start clicking. I think he'll get some points. Last wide receiver here, Will Fuller. He had 1 carry for 0 yards and no catches. So it's a big 0 for fantasy points last week.
And he is not a running back.
Yeah, exactly. He ended up having some sort of a hamstring injury, which are we shocked here?
Yeah, what can you
So
expect?
are you staying calm or is this chaos on Will Fuller?
This is a little bit chaotic.
Why not stay calm on him though?
When you drafted him, you knew that he was going to get hurt. So, like,
Mhm.
I guess you expected this, but
Yeah. I'm a little bit nervous trying to start him this week, just after a big 0 and a hamstring injury. It could definitely
Yeah.
pop back up. But in general, I'm staying calm on him. I'm not dropping him. I'm not doing anything drastic. I think he's still got that upside to blow up every week. So I would maybe bench him if you have a better option. But in terms of like staying
Did
calm
he
on him,
stay in the
probably
game or
staying
did he
calm.
leave the game?
I think he stayed in the game for the majority of the game. He played through that hamstring issue. So it's something that might pop back up, but
In
I
a
don't
game
know.
where you have to keep up with Lamar Jackson, you can't get a point. That scares me.
Yeah, I'm
It is a
definitely
little bit
nervous,
tough.
but I think if he's healthy moving forward, he'll be involved.
Yeah,
He was
he'll be
definitely
all right.
limited by this hamstring injury.
If he stays healthy, I think he produces.
All right, let's move on to tight end here. Rob Gronkowski.
Drop him.
0 catches,
Be
0
quick with him.
yards on 1 target. Calm or chaos?
Drop the bum.
too much talent on the team is hurting him. You're just drop him. Yeah.
Absolute chaos. for me.
I mean, you gotta hold on to him when your tight end has a bye. You need someone to fill in. and
I'm
you
not
wanna-
putting Gronk in. I'd rather start
Who
no
better
one.
to fill in your bye week than Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah,
Cass, don't listen to a word I'm saying right now. I'm saying,
yeah, I'm saying, I'm saying 100%. I would consider dropping him if you needed somebody. I think he's worth a bench spot in most leagues, but Rob Gronkowski scares me. One target. He's not able to get separation, especially in a favorable matchup without Chris Godwin. I thought he would be more involved. Only able to muster up one target. He's still playing, so he's still there. It's just almost as if he's non-existent, like he's a ghost on the field. The ghost of Rob Gronkowski. I was nervous about him all preseason long. I'm still nervous about him moving forward. There's too many mouths to feed. Absolute chaos. I wanted him to prove me wrong. He hasn't proved me wrong yet. I need to see him prove it.
I had him coming into the season as my tight end 6, but I'm starting to regress from that.
Yeah, I had him outside my top 10.
Like 20.
What?
I said, how many spots? Like 20?
Yeah, he might not even be on the list.
Yeah, I had him outside my top 10. I don't think I have him ranked.
Over.
I don't have him ranked this week either. I'm 100% nervous on him. Next tight end here, Mark Andrews, in a game where the Ravens got out big. He only had one catch for 29 yards on 3 targets. After a huge week 1, is this calm or chaos?
Calm. Like you said, the Ravens were up big. What do they have to throw the ball for? They have 2 good running backs, one established running back in Mark Ingram, one up and coming in J.K. Dobbins. I think that the great game script just didn't play out to Mark Andrews' favor.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about him either. I'm staying calm. Mark Andrews has showed, obviously, last week that he's going to be super involved in this offense. I think as long as he's able to get open, he'll be fine.
Kelsey didn't have like the most impressive performance against the week 1 either, against the Texans. I mean, he did have a touchdown, but he wasn't putting up that many yards. I guess you would have expected more with Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, but this isn't something that's going to be repeated.
I mean, you can't expect much more over Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback rather than having Lamar.
Wait till this week's ranks.
All right, I guess so.
That's foreshadowing for next podcast.
Foreshadowing for tomorrow's podcast. One more thing I wanted to get into before we finish calm or chaos here. I wanted to look at some target leaders for the NFL at this point. We've mentioned a couple already on this podcast, but Deontay Johnson and Russell Gage are both within like the top 15 guys in targets in the NFL. 23 targets for Deontay Johnson and 21 for Russell Gage. They're both 100% going to be involved moving forward. I know we already mentioned them, so I don't want to spend too much time on them. The 2 guys that have 18 targets through 2 games are Robbie Anderson and N'Keal Harry. So I think both of these guys are worth a look. Worth a look for sure. I know Q loves N'Keal Harry. But Robbie Anderson as well obviously showed that big week 1, a little bit quieter this week. I think the Panthers are going to be down a lot too. Their defense is pretty bad. So Teddy Bridgewater's going to have to throw it a lot. I expect Robbie Anderson to stay involved. And a couple tight ends, 17 targets apiece, Logan Thomas and Dallas Goedert. Even though Goddard was a little bit more quiet last week, he still got 8 targets. So not someone I'm scared of starting. Definitely not shying away against the Bengals this week. Logan Thomas had a poor week too, but he's definitely been involved in this offense. So one last guy, Deshaun Jackson had 16 targets and Rager's now out. Deshaun Jackson's stock will definitely go up. I think he's worth a flex in most weeks as long as Alshon's still out and everybody's still out. He could catch a bomb.
For sure.
All right, let's get into some trade targets before we get into some questions. Buy low. I'll start us off here. Deshaun Watson is who I'm buying low on. He's had 2 games against 2 of the best teams in the NFL back-to-back with the Chiefs and then the Ravens. And he's got at Pittsburgh this week, so I'm not feeling any better this week. But moving forward, his schedule will definitely lighten up a bit from such a tough start. So I think Deshaun Watson's someone that if an owner's panicking after 2 not so Deshaun Watson-like games, especially last week throwing a couple of picks, he's someone I'm definitely trying to buy low on.
I agree.
Q, who is your buy low target for this week?
All right, so my buy low is Jarvis Landry, who we talked about. Not that great of a week 1 performance. You maybe would have expected better week 2 against a struggling Bengals D, and he still hasn't performed. Though I do have confidence in him that he will step back up to the Jarv of last year. So I think definitely someone that you could possibly get for a discount.
Yep, I'll second that too, obviously. All right, Matt, go ahead.
My buy low is a quarterback we talked about earlier, the quote unquote GOAT, and you can't really argue it, Tom Brady. I mean,
Then one of the
like
quotes.
because people will disagree, to each their own. But yeah, I think injuries at the wide receiver have definitely been hurting his production. I think it only goes up once Godwin and Mike Evans are both fully healthy. I think they eventually get Gronk involved. I don't think Gronk has a complete bust of a season, but I mean, I mean, who knows? Because if he hasn't done it yet, when is he going to do it? But also, a reason I like Tom Brady a lot is if you make the fantasy playoffs, his playoff schedule is Minnesota, Atlanta, and then Detroit in the fantasy chip. So, I mean, those are all three favorable
yeah.
matchups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got to make
Yeah,
it to the
definitely
chip.
not.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to make it to the chip. I think he could take you there too and then win it for you.
Yeah, I definitely am not shying away from Tom Brady. All right, you guys, wrap us up here for the buy low targets.
All right.
Who do you got?
This one might be a little biased. I did say it was
Big bias.
chaos. It did. Okay, it is. It's big bias, but I mean, I'll take the chance on Ty getting back on track. I mean, Paris Campbell went down for the year. That's got to open up some opportunity for him. Phillip Rivers, he's not a bad quarterback. He can throw the ball.
I
14.
hope he can. He's a quarterback.
Yeah. Okay. You get what I'm. Shut up. 14 targets through 2 weeks isn't the worst. I think he can get it going. I'm willing to take the risk. Ty is my guy.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a risk buying low on him, but you could definitely have that payoff for sure.
I mean, it's not a risk buying low on him. What are you giving up for him?
Well, you're still giving up something for him,
Right.
but
I like his upside. I agree
Yeah.
with you, T guys. I'm there with you.
Wow. Thanks, Matt.
Well,
All right,
you're welcome.
moving into some guys that we think you should sell high on. I'll start us off. Bias intended. Odell Beckham Jr. I
hate
feel like I'm always talking about the Browns wide receivers, but Odell Beckham Jr. big week last week. He had a big week in week 2 last season as well, and then kind of disappeared, fell off the radar again. I'm not 100% confident in Baker moving forward, especially since the last game was against the Bengals secondary. I think they're going to be down a lot, so I think OBJ is going to get some targets, but I'm just not sure that the touchdowns come all the way back to what they used to be. And if someone thinks OBJ is 100% back this week and they're willing to try and trade for him, I would not be afraid to trade him away. So that's my take there. All right, Q, who is your sell high target this week?
I'm going with Super Cam. I think he's had two great week one performances week 1 and 2. If you saw my Instagram post, you saw how well
Our
he played.
Instagram post.
Sorry, our Instagram post. I think he's top 3 right now in fantasy quarterback scoring. Definitely someone that you could get a few pieces if you are hurt by these injuries and have a backup quarterback. Definitely Cam, someone that you could get something valuable for.
For sure.
Yeah, and you probably didn't have to pay too much to get Cam in your league,
Yeah,
so
you probably
I'm not
got
against.
him very, very late in your
Cass
draft.
got him for free.
Yeah, I'm not against trading him away, but yeah, I'm not against trading him away. But I think Cam could possibly be an elite quarterback moving forward.
Yeah.
So
I personally,
you might end
I
up
think
losing
I'm hold on
a
to
really
him.
good quarterback. I mean, if you have another elite option, feel free to trade one of them, and Cam would definitely be one that I wouldn't be upset with trading. So, but I just think Cam's still going to be good moving forward.
For sure.
All right, Matt, who's your sell high?
I know some people are going to hate me for saying this, but his stock is at an all-time high right now.
Stonk.
And that is Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley. If you have Calvin Ridley, I think you go after that CMC owner or that Tyreek owner and you try and deal him out and get one of them in return. He has had 239 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first 2 games. He's had 2 touchdowns a game. There's no way that keeps up for the rest of the season as long as Julio Jones is there on that team. And like we mentioned earlier, Russell Gage is still there getting involved. I believe they have Hayden Hurst who's going to be there. And if you suffered a lot of injuries this week, because there were so many, I think more than ever,
Definitely
I might
record.
I might be looking to trade Calvin Ridley for some depth, and you could definitely get what you want for him right now.
Unfortunately, the CMC owner in our league also owns Ridley.
I wasn't going to mention that because not every league is our league.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Calvin Ridley, his value might be at its all-time peak unless he has another humongous game this week. So you might be able to get one of those top 5 wide receivers, either Devontae Adams or Julio Jones, if someone's panicking. Like we mentioned, they did not have the best performances. On to T-Gods here. Who is your sell high candidate?
2 things. 1, Sean's gonna hate me for this. 2, I'm a little biased because I also don't like him, but I wanna try and sell high on Joe Mixon. I mean, he hasn't been doing that great. He had 5 and 12 points in his first 2 weeks. Joe Burrow likes to throw the football. He threw 61 times last week. That's a lot.
That's
And
a lot.
Gio,
That's a lot.
that's a lot of times. And Gio seems to be the running back that, like the receiving back that they have. It's not so much Mixon. Mixon didn't do too bad in the receiving game last week. He had 4 for 40. But Gio is being used there. I think if you want to sell him, you can still get away with he was a first round pick or early second round pick, before his stonk goes way down. I don't like him. But I mean, he started slow last year, so we could see what we saw last year. He could pick it up, but I got to win now.
He's
Yeah.
a good running back.
I think his talent is still there. I'm not panicking personally. I do think that he's definitely. I don't know if you're necessarily selling high. He hasn't been that good.
People are desperate now.
Get something of
a
value.
lot of running backs went down. People are desperate.
That's a good point. A lot of running backs did go down, so people can be desperate. And he definitely
if
does.
Someone's
still
desperate
have
and wants him.
Yeah, he still has
desperate and wants him.
value.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and if someone's desperate and wants him,
If somebody's desperate and wants him.
Yes, if someone is desperate
If someone's what?
and wants Joe Mixon, I would not be afraid of trading him. But I do think he will start to find the end zone moving forward. All right, let's get into Q&A. Let's wrap it up here. We've gone a little over an hour at this point. At Aiden_Amin on TikTok asked, should he pick up James Robinson or Mike Davis?
James Robinson. He's going to
Yep.
be the guy all year. Mike Davis is only temporary.
Yep. The only thing that would make me nervous about James Robinson later in the year is if Raquel Armstead comes back, starts getting involved, and ends up taking some carries away. He's still on the IR at this point, so no need to panic there. But yeah, Mike Davis is a temporary fix. If you're in need of a temporary back, maybe I would lean in, but I still think James Robinson has a lot of upside. All right. Well, one other question we had here was at haha2k on Twitter, asked if he should trade CD Lamb and Hayden Hurst for Terry McLaurin and Evan Engram. Would you do that deal?
Yeah.
McLaurin's proven
in the snap of a finger.
Yeah, McLaurin's proven against 2 what are supposed to be good cornerbacks, Slay and then Patrick Peterson, even though he's on the decline, and then Engram. I'll take him over Hurst easily.
Any day.
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely agree. The only thing that would give me some pause would be Engram's health if he ends up getting banged up again. But he's healthy right now. McLaurin's a wide receiver, almost pretty much close to a wide receiver 1 moving forward. And CD Lamb, he has looked good. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Dallas. So I would 100% do that trade. That's going to be a wrap for us. If there are any live questions in the chat, we'll definitely answer some. But we'll get to Q's joke of the week. Wait, we may have a question here.
I have a question. I have a question.
Oh, you both have questions. All right, hit us with your questions.
Okay, so with David Johnson playing the Steelers, am I crazy for considering starting McKinnon against the Giants?
I would say you're not crazy,
but like going a little senile, maybe.
But is it crazy?
But then again, there also are no, like we said, Tevin Coleman got hurt and Raheem Mostert got hurt. So I mean, what other running back do they have behind McKinnon?
Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson has shown that he can get some carries out of the backfield. I do think McKinnon's still going to be the guy to start this week. I have McKinnon as my RB 29 this week. I have David Johnson as my RB 22. So I don't think you're that outlandish if you're looking for some upside at that spot instead of just playing it safe with volume.
Right.
But I would still prefer David Johnson just because of that guaranteed volume, guaranteed touches.
Thanks, Sean.
Personally, no problem.
We have an update that Gator does not have any questions this week.
We
It's
do have a question
a
from
miracle.
Joey Swank 47 though. He said, "Would you be willing to trade CMC or wait for him to come back? And if so, who are you trading for?"
Unless you're trading for Michael Thomas, I'm not doing it because they're both hurt.
Yeah, I'm personally not trying to trade Christian
Yeah,
McCaffrey
I'm gonna
at
hold
all.
on to Christian McCaffrey.
I would hold on
for
to him.
sure.
I don't think it's going to be a super long injury, so I think within the next 3 to 4 weeks he should be back. And then at that point, you still have the number 1 running back from last year. The
Right.
only way I'm doing it is if I'm getting a top 5 running back in return, and maybe like another wide receiver or something like that, or I'm getting like 2 for 1 for McCaffrey. Like you got to be hurting and you got to need that depth, but I'm not looking to trade McCaffrey.
Yeah, not at all. You drafted him number 1 overall for a reason.
Yep, exactly. I'm not looking to trade him. I'm not looking to trade Michael Thomas either. So, all right, that's a wrap. Q, hit us with the joke of the week before we get out of here.
Okay. Well, can everyone hear me? Because
Wait. We have one more question.
Yep.
It comes from Lil Kev 1566 in the chat. He said, "Hurst or Hooper?"
Hurst.
No doubt.
Starting.
Hurst, no doubt.
If I'm saying start this week, I'm probably still starting Hurst, and even season long, I kind of like Hayden Hurst moving forward. The Falcons are
agree.
just going to be throwing a crap ton. So
That offense always seems to be playing from behind, and Matt Ryan just throws it the whole second half.
yep, and Hayden Hurst is the new Hooper, and I think like the third mouth to feed on the Browns isn't that valuable.
And he's not even the third mouth. He's like the fifth.
Probably like the 5th if you include running backs too. So yeah.
Yeah, so definitely Hayden Hurst, Lil Kev.
Yep. Q, hit us with your joke of the week.
All right. I come up with these on the fly. That's pretty impressive.
On the fly. You
Somewhat.
made this joke up?
Come on.
No.
Come on, Marty McFly.
You have to be really funny to make jokes up.
I thought you were really funny. Or is that just fake funny?
What is Forrest Gump's computer password?
Ron.
1 Forrest 1.
All right, Q. That was pretty good.
That was
Yo,
pretty
how
I'll
did
give it
Schultz
to you.
know that?
Schultz is he might be just the funniest.
He's
man
from the
alive.
future.
Yeah.
From the future.
2 seconds into the future.
Yeah, he did know that in the chat there. All right, that's a
Yeah,
wrap
that's
for us here.
impressive.
Make sure to be following us on Twitch if you're here live right now. We're close to 50 followers, so definitely give us that follow. Also, follow us on social medias as well. Twitter at Super FB Podcast, on Instagram at Super Fantasy Podcast. Look us up, follow us there. Links in the bio, pretty much everywhere. I think it's on Twitch as well. So look for us there. We'll be keeping you up to date all season long for some extra help there.
And also, do not forget to get your free $50 from the Thrive Fantasy app.
What's the
That too.
code, Matt? What's the code?
The code is Super FB. That is SUPERFB.
Yes.
Deposit and $20, get an instant $50 bonus.
Yep. We'll be live
Yeah.
tomorrow, Thursday on Twitch. Be here. Thursday night football pregame. That's
7
it.
p.m. Eastern.
You don't want to miss it.
Yep. Peace out.